Because of the current pandemic, and in order to comply with the governor's directive to stay safe, stay home, and the public health order issued by the county health department and county mayor, we have determined that in-person meetings, including attendance by the public and the council, is not particularly practical or prudent. Therefore, this meeting will be held remotely through electronic. Each person is participating from a separate location. We are totally dependent upon the internet and technology to broadcast this meeting and to ensure that the public has the opportunity to view the proceeding. However, there could be a malfunction that is totally out of our control. We don't expect any issues, but want you to be aware of that possibility. If you'd like to submit citizen comments or public hearing comments, please email to city.council@murray.utah.gov, all lowercase. They should be less than 3 minutes, including your name and contact information, and they will be read into the record. All council members are present. The first order of business is minutes of the special meeting of April 16th. There's been one correction to the special meeting minutes. That is to remove the mayor from the attendee list. Are there any other corrections? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Dale, I will move approval of the special meeting, April 16th, 2020.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thanks, Rosalba. Jennifer?
Ms. Dominguez,
Aye.
Ms. Turner,
Aye.
Mr. Hells,
Aye.
Ms. Martinez,
Aye.
Mr. Cox.
Aye. Thank you. Discussion items, investment policy update, Wendell Combs. Wendell, stage is yours.
Thank you. I need to make sure I unmuted myself. I appreciate the time tonight just to bring to you a matter of great importance. We haven't brought the investment policy to the council since 2006. So we thought it was good, since we have all new council members, to understand a little bit behind what we do with the public trusted funds that we have in our care. And so we revised somewhat the investment policy to bring it in compliance with the current state code. Just some minor tweaks since the 2006 was approved by the council. As you probably had an opportunity to review through the council or through the policy that we have drafted, our number one priority as we invest these funds is safety of principal. Second to that is liquidity, being able to get to the funds as we need them. And then third is the rate of return that we get on the funds. By the nature of these funds, we're not investing out in the stock market where there's a lot of volatility. We're more short-term into the bond and money markets that allow us to have the liquidity we need, but also giving us some form of market returns. As a prudent person rule in this, we look at the types of investments that we're using. The majority of that is through the Public Treasurer's Fund, but we also had hired an outside investment manager a number of years ago, which has helped add some return to these funds. As we go through this, if you have any questions, any comments, I'd be interested to hear your perspective. But this just gives us the guidelines of how we are to invest the money on an ongoing basis. It allows us to report as needed to the state. Semi-annually, I have to provide them a deposit and investment report that's posted on the state auditor's website. We review the investments on a monthly basis, actually on a daily basis, as we look for our cash needs and then determining where we need to pull funds from. And then we also have a quarterly meeting with our outside investment manager to review their investments. There's really kind of an investment committee per se, that's the finance director, the controller, and myself as we meet with these outside investment advisors. Any assets that we do not hold here or at the state are held in trust by an outside trustee. So just for your information, that would be Wells Fargo that is the trustee for those funds that Morton Investment Advisors manages for us. So again, that's to protect the nature of these funds. Again, the policy just basically goes through the standards, the maximum maturities that we can hold in the fund, the types of investments we can hold, and then it gives a brief definition of terms that are found within the policy. And so that's really what I have for you tonight. What we're looking for is the council to review this and basically approve and adopt these policies going forward in our next council meeting.
Wendell?
Yes.
It's Diane. On the third line down, there's a typo, and it says all invested funds shall be I think it should be made in accordance with applicable state and local statutes.
Okay, I did correct that on my copy. That may not have been.
Oh, I have it on mine. Also, I'm wondering, on page 7, under performance standards, it says at the bottom that overnight repo account. What does that mean?
Repos are repurchase agreements. I'm sorry. Brett, did you have something? Actually, repurchase agreements that are what overnight, where banks trade money back and forth. You know, if they're short, they need money. Typically, it's just a very short-term rate of return. Just for overnight funds. It's kind of like a money market, but it's just another investment vehicle that we aren't typically using, but it's to let you know what short-term investments might yield. You're muted, Diane. I didn't hear your comment.
Anyway, I've never seen this document before, so it was interesting in a lot of the terms that I didn't understand, but I figured it out. So thank you, Wendell.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Can I ask a question?
You betcha.
So we're looking at it now because of state laws that have changed requiring us to update code. Is there a regular report as far as how investments returns are going for the council, or does that impact our budget anyway? Do returns end up in the general budget anywhere? How does that interact?
It goes into the general fund, but I basically report this to the finance director, and she brings that to the council as it's needed.
Thank you.
So if you look at our budgets and our financial statements, anything that says interest is the earnings on the various, either the investments, anything that's in trust due to bonds, and the PTIF. They're allocated, all of the interest earnings are allocated based on who has how much in each one of those things. So by far, the power department gets the most of our interest because they have the highest cash balances. So it's all allocated based on cash balance.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you, Wendell.
Thank you.
You bet. Next, the Tier 2 Public Safety Firefighter Retirement Benefits. Robin.
All right, good evening. Excited to talk to you about Tier 2 retirement. In 2011, the public safety and firefighter pensions, their benefits were greatly decreased. And for years, because of retention efforts and hiring issues, police and fire lobbied for better pension benefits. So finally in 2019, Senate Bill 129 was passed that provided enhancements to these Tier 2 public safety and firefighter pensions. These enhancements will apply to the new and current employees in Tier 2 retirement systems for any benefits earned starting this July 1st, 2020. I made a little chart here so you can see the difference. Let's see. All right, can you guys see my chart? Okay, so if you'll see at the current benefit, they're only getting a 1.5% multiplier for any years of service. Well, starting July 1st, that will increase to a 2% multiplier. With this increase of benefits comes a greater increase in cost for us as the employer to pay. So their current benefit, we're paying a 12% of their pay. Starting July 1st, we'll be paying 14% to fund this. Currently, employees are not required to contribute to the pension because the funding hasn't increased above 12%. But had it increased above 12%, the employee would have been required to pick up any percentage above 12%. With the new benefit, the employee is required to pay 2.27% of their pay. And then if they chose the 401k option, it's the same 12%. Right now, employer contribution 14%, starting July 1st. So with these increase of benefits, with the 2.27% that the employees required, the bill proposed that employers could choose to pick up this 2.27 employee contribution for them and count it as employer contributions. So this resolution is a formal request of action to pick up the employee portion of the retirement contribution. So currently we have 51 employees, 20 fire department and 31 police department that fall under these public safety and firefighter retirement plans. So the budget impact is around $95,000, and that has been already included in the tentative budget that you've been presented. URS is just requiring formal action to be taken before July 1st if we want to pick up this employee contribution. So let me know if you have any questions.
Does anyone have any questions? Okay, thank you, Robin.
Thank you.
Next, we have animal service fees, Chief Barnett.
Thank you. We've talked about the RFP that you'll be considering in the council meeting tonight with Salt Lake County doing an interlocal agreement. Part of that we need to talk about tonight is the county has asked that we adopt their fee schedule into our ordinance so that we will be in line with the other cities and communities that they serve, so that all fees and ordinances would be the same. So that's what we're bringing right now, is for you to ask any questions, or just to let you know that that's something that you will need to approve and adopt by ordinance in the next meeting. And the reason being is that the county just wanting everybody to be on the same fee schedule, and so that would put their fee schedule into ours as far as the animal services go.
Are there any questions?
I have a question. Looking at the document, I see our previous fees crossed out. Do we have their chart? What, in comparison to ours, are theirs higher, lower? Do you know?
I don't have a comparison. I don't know if
It was, Kat, it is, I think it's like the very last page.
Oh, did I just miss it?
Well, I overlooked it too, but it is a little bit higher, is what I'm seeing, the comparison to it. Probably like 10 to 15, maybe even $20 in some areas.
Oh, I see it now. Thanks. I read through it and I was like, why can't I find the new chart? It's a huge, beautiful page right there. Thank you. Page 50. Got it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Chief. Okay, fiscal year 2019-2020 budget amendment. Brenda.
So this is the last budget amendment for fiscal year 1920. I just needed to put in, we have received 3 grants since the last budget opening. The police department received $112,282 from the Coronavirus Emergency Supplemental Funding Program. They received this, I think you approved it a couple weeks ago, and you were informed of it. This is just the budget opening so that they can start spending that money. The fire department received $5,580 from the Department of Health EMS grant for the purchase of EMS supplies and equipment. The library, through the state library, got some $2,045 from the CARES Act to help with their costs associated with the coronavirus. And then the big one, which wasn't good news, is that the fire station went over budget by, I'm hoping it's not going to be $390,000. That is my worst case scenario. But they have gone over budget, so I'm increasing the capital projects budget for $390,000 for the fire station, pulling that from reserves. There are some costs that are in dispute. There are some costs still kind of coming in, and I'm thinking it's going to be lower than that, but $390,000 is the worst case for what is left to pay for the what the fire station is over budget. Chief Harris has been constantly trying to save money wherever he can, and he's watching the bills like a hawk. There's just some things, especially due to the environmental situation over there, that we just could not control. So I think the major reason that we are over budget as much as we are is because of cleaning up some of the environmental hazards and all of the additional testing and all of the stuff that has to happen on that site. So but that is a beautiful building. Does anybody have any questions about the budget openings?
Yes, Brenda, it's Diane. I'm. Can you hear me? It's Diane.
Yes.
Okay. Great. I'm just wondering, on the $390,000, did we have a contract? I mean, we had a contract, I'm sure.
These are change orders that are mostly in dispute. Plus, there were additional costs that were outside the scope of the contract. So that's why we're in negotiations about some of the costs, is because they are what the contractor would say are change orders, and we feel like that they are not. All of them are not justified. So that's where we're at on that. Yes, we did have a contract, but there are additional costs that went over the budget.
Well, that just seems rather unreasonable to me. I mean, crazy, but it sounds like I'm not the only one that sees it that way.
Right. Yeah,
Hopefully we don't have to pay all that. That's
hopefully we don't. I'm hoping that we can settle for a lot less than that. So, but I need to be prepared for whichever way it goes. And because I don't want to keep coming back to you every time we decide to settle one of these things and ask for more money. So we're just going to do it once. And then whatever we don't get paid, we'll roll over till next year. And then whatever isn't used for the fire station, we will just roll back into reserves.
Any other questions? Okay, thanks, Brenda. And that was the last thing on our list. Jan, do you have announcements?
I don't have anything tonight.
All right, we'll adjourn and reconvene at 6:30 for council meeting. Thank you.